Hey, my name is STANN.co, and this is the second devlog of Garfield RPG. Last devlog was actually, I think, over a year ago, and it's evident I haven't been working on it every day of my life because of obvious reasons, but recently I've been doing a lot more on it, so I figured now would be a good time to showcase a little more. So first off, you can see that we have a few more characters here, and if you're attentive, you can see that Odie's up animation doesn't exist yet, so that's some of the next things I'm gonna work on. Half of this was a big step of just making pathfinding work, and maybe I can make a video on that, because that's a whole mouthful on its own. But what I mostly wanted to focus on was the battle system, and whilst it's not done yet, there's a big part of it, in my case a tool on it, that I wanted to showcase a bit. So let's check it out. This is maybe new, I don't know if I showcased this last time, but we have this battle system. First off, it's just the attacks you have here, some items, and the rest of the buttons does not work yet. You also can't win the fight yet, but that's for later. First off, just the battle. When it's your turn, you can do a little attack, take health off the enemy, and when it's the enemy's turn, you'll see this happens. You can see that it syncs up with the music of the background music. And this little Guitar Hero-like track is randomized. Well, it's picked randomly out of a selection. And if I try a bit more, we'll maybe see some different ones. Fuck. Give me another one, here we go. So ideally you want to get all of them perfect. Like that. And I've taken a bit of health damage, so let's see something. Right, a tuna can open forcefully. You notice its contents is a far cry from the nice picture, but it eat it all whole regardless. Covered some health. Anyway, so right now this goes on infinitely. The enemy can't actually lose shit, so that's one of the next steps. But here you get just a little look on what the actual gameplay is gonna be like. Undertale had a bullet hell segment. Garfield RPG has a rhythm segment. Alright. Okay, so I wanted to show a little bit about how some of the stuff works. And part of my new education is also learning about programming. And what I've been taking a liking to is object-oriented programming. Now, whilst you can't translate that directly to GameMaker, I've, or maybe you can, but I've at least made my best attempt at it, because we have a shit ton of objects here. And my idea is make one object that take care of one thing, and then you refer to it as you need it. So what I have here is the Conductor, and I made a little icon for him because he's the conductor, right? Every time some music plays, I made him to keep track of it. And whilst this is all technical jargon possibly, I guess it's best to just actually let him show it. So this all goes, all these small like pink words, they tick on and off depending on the beat, depending on the BPM of the song, which is set in another place. And all this is a bit complicated, but I guess I'll just let it show for itself, because I drew it out here. And right now the alpha is set to 2, maybe make it a bit more obvious, so let's set it to 8. This is just so you can see it. So let's open it up again. And now you can see on the left side of the screen, this is a bunch of different words that are all ticked on to 1 and 0. And as I start the music here, you'll see them all beat to the song. You notice that the step counter, it ticks up to, I think, 36, 32, I think 32, yeah. And every bar of the song, it resets. And you can see all the different letters. On bar takes on only after a bar's done on a half bar, on beat. It makes sense, right? And all these are used to both animate everything going around. You can see that the enemy, he's bumping to the beat. And the same with the little HP counter down above the attack button. And everything shaking. And also these letters when I start here. So this is a very important thing, and I'm glad I made it, because now I can just refer to that throughout the whole game without needing to worry too much about keeping time. Because I made something to keep time for me. The Conductor. So again, notice the numbers popping on screen in a bit. It makes sure that the track only starts on beat. Well, on bar actually. Anyway, so that's a bit about that. And what I wanted to show now is the thing to actually make these tracks. So as I said, it's a bunch of randomly selected ones. And so far there's only actually 4 tracks to choose from. You saw them. Called Bitch 1, Bitch 2, Bitch 3, Bitch 4. That's just template name. I think the boss is a template too, just to test that all the systems works, right? And just for a little, I guess, food for thought, right? This is sort of what each track actually looks like. It's just a long list of different numbers. You can see every little pellet has a pitch, and it has a position within the song, and it has a sound ID, which is what sound actually plays, like a guitar sound or a bass sound or whatever. And this is the X position for the editor, but we can come back to that. The button you need to hit, so in this case this is the X button, down, right, left, up. You can see here 0, 4, 8, 12, that's the position, so you need to press X first, down second, right third, left fourth, and so on. And here you have the type. You saw a few of the tracks have a little fish symbol. That's what that is. I'll possibly add more to make it even more complicated. But you could probably imagine that writing this by hand is a pain. And it is. And I did that just for the first 3 long ago, just to test out. But I came to the conclusion that this isn't happening. So I needed to make an editor. So part of that was me trying to find someone to do it for me, because I couldn't be asked. I tried actually contacting 2 different people to make this editor for me. And the first one just ignored me. I guess that's one way to close a deal, right? And the second one might actually have died. I'm not sure. Last thing he messaged me was that everything's going to shit and that he'd have it done next week. This was quite a few months ago. So rest in peace. So I needed to bite the bullet and do it myself. Which is what I did. So what I'll show up now is the track editor I made. It took a bit of my vacation to make, but now it's done and I can do it. Okay. This is the track editor. This is what I'm going to be using to make all these tracks for the different fights. So just going over it one by one, I guess. So we have, you know, this is like FL Studio almost, any DAW. We have the piano, just to, well, test out what each note sounds like. Those are deep. We can scroll back and forth in case we want a really long one, though we don't want that normally. And we can change the BPM, change the bar offset for the song. For that to make sense, I can play. So that's the starting position, starts at 0, right? But I can go a few bars ahead. Or quite a few. Just to try different parts of the song. The idea is you make some melody here. Let me just make a really simple one. So I can both place and delete here. Idea is you make a little track that's 1 or 2 or in an extreme case 3 bars long, right? And it'll get played at a random point throughout this song. So I can just change the bar offset to test if it works in different places of the song. Also volume here, we can turn that down just a little bit. And this is of course the song. I can also change that if I want to. And we have the metronome up here. We can also test it. Sweet. So this wasn't that good of a track, but while you're looking, might as well try to make a good one, right? So so let's make a simple one. Okay, down here is which button you need to press when it actually hits. This is the type of button. So let's say we make the last one a fish, because those are always tricky, and make it an up button. So we press 3 times on the X key and once on the up key. And we can make it even more interesting. Try that. So see, here is a simple track. And I could make a really complicated one, but honestly, it's really hard to both make a track that's both playable and sounds good and fits with the song. That's 3 criteria. That's really hard. So this is a tool that I'm gonna be using a lot, and I guess it's inevitable I have to make it myself. So we can playtest again just to make sure it's good. Doesn't seem too hard, doesn't seem too simple. This is a good starting track in the game, I guess. And we can change the play position, just a different part of the song. You can notice that even though it's a different part of the song, it still kind of fits, because it's making sure to always start on bar. Just like every 4th beat, that's a bar in my case. And since it's, you know, also on the BPM, and it's on the same scale as the song in the background, it just works. And it's not always as easy as that, but in this case it actually is. And that's the main epic little gameplay loop I've come up with. So for the purposes of this, I guess I can actually save this. So this is the setup. I'm gonna make them, I'm gonna find them, I'm gonna put them into the game, and at the end of it, hopefully I'll have like maybe 50 or something insane like that. So there's plenty to choose from. Let's try that out. And I crashed. Anyway, so we have a few different issues, of course, that I need to fix. But get the idea, right? I'm actually going to be including this version of the track editor down in the description. So if you want to have fun with it, go ahead. This doesn't include the game, but it does include this little track thing, and you can press the test button to try it out. And if you have any suggestions about that, feel free to ask in the comments or add me on Twitter, DM me, whatever. I'll answer as good as I can. This is the first, well, second part of the devlog, and hopefully it won't be a year before I have more cool stuff to show. Since this track editor was a big thing, like standing in my way, it's, well, there was a bug here, but it's basically done, meaning I can go back to making the actual game now. So I think that's all for me. If you like this video, hit the like button. If you want more like it, tell me you do. And I'll see you next year. I don't know. Bye bye.